I believe it's necessary to give credit where credit is due. Our journey through high school would not have been possible without the parents, teachers and coaches, administration, extended family, friends, pastors, and counselors that have supported us at home, in the classroom, on the field or court, in the studios and labs and stages, and all the places where the class of 2020 has been developing over not just the past 4 years, but the past 18. We thank you for nurturing our passions, offering wisdom and direction, challenging us to synthesize both creatively and intellectually, laughing with us, bolstering us when life gets overwhelming, and giving us a good mental smack when our arrogance led to ignorance. You all have walked alongside us and helped us navigate some of the greatest hardships and triumphs of our lives, and for that, we are grateful. Before I continue, I would like to share with you all a quote from a speech by Theodore Roosevelt, which outlines what I believe to be an admirable attitude in the face of adversity. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Perhaps Teddy was getting a little dramatic, but I am always inspired by the truth his words hold. Class of 2020, I have seen and shared these past 4 years, and I can attest to the fact that there is not a cold, timid soul here. I wish I could say a simple farewell and tell you all good luck as you leave high school and enter a new arena full of obstacles that will test your resolve. But I know that we all have been tested. All have been fighting battles meant for adults for quite some time. There are just a few things I know for certain in this life, one of which is the inevitability of change. Saying that a lot has changed over the past 4 years would be a gross understatement. However, I remember the very first day of school, freshman year. It was the first lunch of high school, and no one could decide where to sit. We didn't know who to talk to, who'd be our friend, and I'm sure everyone was scanning faces, wondering if they would lock eyes with their soulmate across the cafeteria. We had all just stepped foot into something entirely new and exciting. And since no one really had a place, we all made a place together. We gathered tables and chairs and sat together in a ginormous huddle. We were a family, all nervous to take on this high school challenge and get here to graduation, where we are all once again gathered together, a family. At least one thing hasn't changed. Over the years, we faced what we thought were going to be the biggest obstacles of our high school career. AP classes, PSAT, SAT, ACT, college applications, boiling frustration over material that disappeared from our brains the day of the test. Though, as I'm sure all our parents have been telling us, things get harder. And they did. As we've grown, our tests have evolved, coming off the paper and taking shape in the form of grief, sickness, isolation, and injustice. I don't think any one of us could have ever imagined the hardship coming our way, or how our innocent freshman faces would grow and mature into the independent, intelligent men and women we are today. We've been excited to welcome new members to our family, but we've also had to say some goodbyes. I've found myself struggling to find the words to properly honor Gus Temple, but I will say that there is a hole felt by the class of 2020. Mourning is never something I would have wanted or expected us to be doing together. But just as a family celebrates together, it also grieves together when it's lost a member. In the midst of this tragedy, I was in awe of the way our class sought to honor Gus and say his name in every way possible. From flowers framing pictures of him, to ribbons pinned on our chests and backpacks, to the green cords around our necks today. He is here with us today, even if it's not in the way we wish he could be. With all the personal tragedy, social unrest, and natural disaster prevalent in our lives, it would be hardly inaccurate to say that the class of 2020 has persevered through far more social, mental, and circumstantial adversity than any class before us. We were born into a world stricken with fear following 9/11, and now one of the greatest milestones of our lives has been marred by a pandemic. In the interest of safety and protecting those we love, during these last few months, we've entered into a new arena of isolation, forced to alter everything about the way we interact. Yet, despite these circumstances, which have stripped us of our last months of senior year, our baccalaureate mass, our prom, and original graduation, this class has responded by setting up neighborhood food pantries, throwing drive-by graduation parades, composing a virtual yearbook, cooking for neighbors, giving to those who have lost jobs and homes, writing letters to COVID-19 patients, taking the time to appreciate our healthcare workers, and staying connected to our Bishop Dunn family through Microsoft Teams, group FaceTimes, and social distance meetups in parks and parking lots. Even in this time of isolation, we have maintained community. This year, more than any, has called our attention to both the brevity and sanctity of life. In the last few months, while we've been grappling with COVID-19, we have also been reminded of the racial injustice that permeates our country through the senseless deaths of Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and many others. Persisting racism is a battle I know I can never fully understand, but I am thankful for Bishop Dunn and how our diverse community has spread empathy and fostered both unity and individuality by cultivating an environment where a variety of cultures and backgrounds are celebrated. I am amazed by the ways in which my classmates have fought to overcome inequality, risen above sneers on the fields and courts, raised their voices to educate, and used their hands and feet to call for change. They have not let their hurt foster hatred. This is our family being affected by injustice, and a family stands together because, as it says in 1 Corinthians 12:26, if one member suffers, all suffer together. If one member is honored, all rejoice together. Throughout our lives, we have had to live simply in reaction to our surroundings, dependent on others to tell us or show us how to respond properly. Now we're here. We've been given the tools to think and act independently of others, but we also have the responsibility to act cognizant of others, recognizing that as children of God, we are all valuable. Our lives have purpose, and we're all interconnected. We are family, so let's take care of each other. Through our time here at Bishop Dunn, we have been emboldened to make a difference, to become advocates for change, civil servants, and innovators. Rather than being reactive, it's now our time to be proactive. As we enter into this new stage of life, this new arena, my prayer is that we will be catalysts. I hope that these trials we have endured have molded our hearts and our character, enabling us to facilitate great change and pursue reconciliation in our broken world. From toy drives to canned food drives to You Matter bands and encouraging sticky notes posted on doors and lockers, to assemblies and beautiful performances sponsored by African American Awareness and Latinos Unidos, to Homeless for a Night, to Saturdays spent with at-risk children and weekdays spent at shelters and schools and hospitals, to donations supporting marginalized groups, to internships abroad and conservation efforts. You all have made an impact on not just the Bishop Dunn community, but our entire Metroplex. My classmates are already leaders, well-rounded, trustworthy, respectful, driven. They have been taking the initiative for years now, using their voices to raise awareness and change reality rather than remain complacent. Now, in light of recent events and the turmoil in our country and around the world, your voices and your leadership are crucial. Undoubtedly, each of our lives have been marked by tragedy. But when I look at my classmates, I do not see defeat. I see brothers and sisters making the best of what we have. Because though we've struggled and we've been barred by continual obstacles over and over again, I marvel at you all. The way you get up, you push against all the things in life attempting to break your resolve. The way you dare greatly. You are remarkable. I don't think we say that enough to people. We are all in that ring, fighting our own battles in addition to everything else this world has thrown at us. So I want to make sure you leave knowing that you are remarkable. Your life and your strife have meaning, and I implore you to continue to strive valiantly, to move forward with ferocity, refusing to remain silent, and to persevere through life with fortitude and grace. In closing, I want to leave you with one of my favorite verses from Scripture, Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. So, class of 2020, we may encounter adversity. We may falter, but remember that the Lord sits with you in that arena, wherever you are and wherever you will go. Thank you.